Only bring 10 items. She'll live alone in the wilderness. Danish version season 8 officially returns. It's still a familiar recipe, tastes the same as before. 7 survival experts. The seasoned are taken to the wilderness. Ice in the Arctic Circle. In minus 20 degrees Celsius. They don't just have to build shelters and find food, but always be on the lookout for unexpected situations. The last man standing, thanks to our rich survival skills, will win a $500,000 cash reward, equivalent to 12.5 billion Vietnamese currency. The challenge this time is to fill the land. Finland north of the Arctic Circle. The contestants are taken to the starting point by seaplane. Muscle of the program. The first person to appear was Soren. Don't look at your 60-year-old. You're actually only 40. When you put your feet on the ground, he was so excited, without realizing the seriousness of the situation. Fortunately, there's a big rock at the landing site, fit to do, shelter and the smell of reindeer dung around. It shows that this place has abundant resources. Before joining the program, Soren is a professional blacksmith. He lived as a blacksmith and used to work showcase for many museums. At the same time accumulated a lot of manual experience. I joined the program because of my passion for nature. It's even better if you win the lottery. After locating the shelter, he started collecting 10 materials. I'm going to build a sloping roof against the cliff and tie waterproof tarpaulins to the wooden slats. Quickly form a simple tent. Remarkable. Soren was the only one who didn't carry a sleeping bag. He believed that cowhide blankets could keep him warm, but I don't know if it's freezing to death in the winter. The second person to appear was Anders. This guy's incredibly lucky. I've just come ashore and discovered a natural shelter. Looking inside, the space is quite good, so the shelter problem is solved immediately. He combed the blanket down and lay inside. Fit size. In front of the door is an open lake. You can observe all the activity around you. Before joining the program, Anders is no ordinary man. More than 15 people live in the forest. You were attracted, hundreds of thousands of followers across platforms. Social networks live by videos that teach survival skills. Your true power is out of the question. To make a big fire, I shredded the wood into small pieces. When igniting, the fire hits the wood chips and smoke successfully. To keep the fire burning longer, and he specifically collected 11 pieces of turpentine. This can extend the duration of a fire. There is no need to use more wood. The third contestant is called Tianya. It's probably my first time getting involved, so I'm pretty excited. When I put my feet on the ground, I couldn't hold back my tears. As the yacht slowly leaves, it also means the coming days. I can only rely on myself. Look around the lake. There's a lot of fish activity. Makes you look forward to this wilderness. In his native Norway, Bettina is an auto mechanic. Your house has a very large garage. There are countless cars inside. Usually help customers adjust the car as required. You're also a professional fisherman. Often take a private yacht out to sea fishing. Participating in the contest is just to experience life. After quickly arranging the luggage and erecting the tent, done. Female carry specialized fishing rods to the shore of the fishing lake. It is worth noting that this time in addition to the lure, contestants are also selected. Be favorite items, and the female carried a net of fish. As far as you know, this could keep the fish alive in water for cold storage, but I have to say you underestimated the situation. Out in nature, standing by the lake for half an hour, even though there is bait lure support but still cannot catch anything, is ultimately due to lack of resources or insufficient skills. It's hard to say. I saw the float sink from a distance. If you pull it up, it's just a bubble. That's 7 hopes. When he returned to the camp, he found many footprints on the ground. Guess the size, it must be a sign. But God forbid, hunting is impossible. There's only one good way to get back to camp and reinforce the tent. After that, everyone was resting in the camp. On the 20th day it was finally sunny. Claus untied the rope in the shelter. She was the second female contestant of the season. When I returned to the camp wearing pants, I found that I was very thin. I don't want to be disqualified because I'm too light. We have to find a way to get protein. Take out the precious hook. Bring the fishing rod to the lake to try your luck, not using the grid generated by the program, because I find it easier. Just throw it over 10 times on the shore. In the end, God doesn't care. After 2.5 hours, a mackerel came ashore. After landing on the ground, immediately set up a simple camp. Even if the fish is not big, but if it's done well, it could be worth a few $1,000s. As everyone knows, foreigners usually go after fishing. No more questions. I went back to the barbecue on the coal fire, watching the fish grilled outside crispy and soft. Protein 50 times higher than beef. At the same time Rick was going to go fishing. Compared to the experiments, take a break and get ready to go fishing. The only advantage is the boat. Worth it. Unfortunately, these animals are protected by law. I see something above. The first is to catch a small fish. I can't believe there's a bigger one. Finally harvested 5 protein-packed fish. When the night falls, the contestants all fled to the rest camp, plus some small fish we caught earlier, to be able to live on fish resources. There are 9 protein fish. Is the contestant with the most food reserves. If you keep the speed, you can win. Back to camp, enjoy the delicious food. The fish don't have to say. It's definitely the food that the other contestants dream of. Back to Maddie waking up. The symptoms are better. Quick group heating furnace. Take a break. Under his hands quickly turned into a hammer. Next is to think about how to install roof beams. It's not that this land is a rare resource. The complex equipment she was carrying Theo worked. But today he's not back. However, if you want to build something that big, you have to have power. Even the lake in front of the door is frozen. Rick crouched in the cold tent. This temporary shelter. You may be very good at it now. They are also building a shack. She used a tree branch as an empty pole. Rick's going to do a makeshift shelter in the camp. The way to do that is to dig a big hole in the ground, then dig a small slot outside the tent to draw air, and then cover the wood up. So when you start a fire, the whole tent gets warmer. I hurried to start testing my work. What to think? It wasn't long before the water began to stir. It looks like a dogfish. Careless sharp teeth is missing a bite. So she wants to make a fire in it. Go around. Pick up a big pile of rocks to wrap around the head of the bed. If an animal steals you, you'll regret it. On the side of Anders' abandoned solid rock shelter, I deliberately went into the forest to build a new shack. It's obviously a waste of time and effort. He cut down some 4-meter-long sticks to build the shack. I didn't know you were building a house. It's not easy to build such a long beam. I was busy all day and kept falling. Finally finished building the frame when the fixation collapsed again. That's bad luck. I don't understand which step is wrong. Klaus is also building a shelter right now. I'm going to make a simple triangular tent. Never tried it before. But the trigonometry is very stable, so you can easily build the frame. Then coat the fabric, waterproof up, and the next few days we'll live in it. Get everything done. Klaus brings his rod to fishing. Just like a few times before, the hook was dropped and the fish bit. By weight, this fish is not small. Take a look, for heaven's sake. My body is bigger than my legs. It's probably the biggest mackerel I've ever caught. The result this time filled Klaus with excitement. Brought back to camp hanging in the tent because the fish didn't eat it all. Cook for half an hour on high heat. I sat in front of the camp and enjoyed every bite. I don't know how many times the amount of protein. The beef blinked on the third day of the evening. It's finally time for the extra grid inspection. So far I've fasted 9 meals in 3 days. I just hope the side grid gets a little harvest. But when you get to the shore and pull up, oh, the net can't catch any fish. It's even messed up. Go back to camp and take a look. It is not easy to recover as it was before. Let's go back to Klaus. Today's mission is to make the door for the tent. First use a tree branch to measure the appropriate length, then make the frame according to the size, then cover it with waterproof cloth. I didn't expect it to fit. Today's breakfast is quite expensive. Klaus didn't define food. They cut off the fish's head and shoved the rest into the tree, 2 sides sealed with bark. It's like an oven. In just half an hour the food was ready. To taste a piece. Oh my god, the fish is grilled outside crispy and soft. The water spilled over my mouth. It has more protein than beef. At the same time Anders finally finished building the shack. The weather in this area is quite cold. I'm going to build a fireplace outside, turn around and pick up stones. Combined with soft moss that quickly builds. I can't wait to burn a fire to see how it works. It doesn't take into account the wine factor. As long as the fire is lit, the smoke will be blown into the tent. It's impossible to stay. Maybe the whole morning's struggle was in vain. Think back and forth. I decided to remove it and change it. That's another day and a half hours. I thought this time would go well. If you think you can build half the stone, you can't stand it. The weight is unlucky. The feeling of 7 defeats made Anders immediately lose faith. It's the Olympic of survival. Open a new school alone in Denmark. In addition to the actual equipment provided by the production team, you can also choose your 3 favorite items. There are even people who carry mechanical complex arcs. There's no shortage of binoculars. According to the old law, the person who survives will eventually receive $500,000. On Wednesday, Rick was the 6th contestant of the season. Look at the possible appearance. I guess you're also an anonymous survival guru. He's been living in this makeshift tent these days. Just because the ground is full of blueberries, you can eat at any time. Wait until there's enough protein to build a shelter. While sitting in camp drinking hot tea, a crow suddenly flew past Rick. Immediately imitate the sound of crows. Let's see if we can attract it. I can't believe this works. Soon the crow came flying. But just swooping over your head won't give you a chance to draw your bow. In his native Denmark, Rick is a professional hunter. With ecstatic archery skills. I used to hunt big animals. I shot a wild boar that almost died. It made me realize the dangers of animals. Wild entered the contest mainly because of the bonus. But so far I haven't discovered any small animals. Practice in your free time. The last player is Maddie. He's also the only one with the power. A few days ago I wanted to get my strength. Eat less fruit that grows on the ground. Then to the fishing pond. Lucky to have one, but it's lost in the drag. Before entering the competition, Maddie was an archer. Your house has all kinds of animal specimens. It shows that the ability is not trivial. Besides, you're a jeweler. The family situation is no different. You're here to challenge yourself. After a few days, you've solved the shelter for the water heater. She's going to go out and pick up some branches as a stand. When you go back and put a stake in the ground, unfortunately spilled the pot and put out the campfire. It doesn't seem to be too strong on Klaus' side. I've been feeling dizzy these days. The heart beats quickly without reducing anxiety. If there is a problem with your body, call the medical team immediately. The doctor quickly went to CA. After the test said that due to not eating enough hungry that raw, I advise you to eat on time. Don't worrying about small things, move to Sahurin. I went out to check the fishing net today. Thanks to experience last time, so this time it's easy to catch a big catfish. Clean the organs on site. Even though the meat doesn't look good, I still bring it home for cooking. I was eager to eat it all. This is the first meal in 4 days. I ate clean in less than a few minutes. He had the energy, and he made Tae Ra try to take shelter. Otherwise, the simple tent is easily blown away by the wind. A few days ago, I've started building permanent shelters. If you look at the area, it should be called a wild villa. I just don't know if I can survive when I'm done. Where is Anders? I was too busy to make a kitchen for the camp. He put a stick between 2 big trees. And then used sawnwood as a base. The iron pot can also be hung easily, so that kitchen utensils can be put on it. When I went out for a walk, I found a dry tree. This plant has a lot of oil in its bark. As long as the spark is burning, I'll collect 10 to use when winter comes. Then he went to the lake to check the fish trap, but the more you pull it up, the cleaner it gets. It is cleaner than the face. I haven't caught any fish for 2 days in a row. I decided to move somewhere else and set the trap. To the 5th day. Answer, he was fishing on the shore when he suddenly discovered something interesting. A herd of reindeer came running in front of her. These creatures seem to be completely unafraid of humans. Unfortunately, the rules of the game don't allow hunting. Shoot in the opening phase. If not this close, shoot an arrow. Is when now. Then Ani went to the old place to check the fish traps. What I really think about is that this time I managed to catch a fish. Greater collection. I caught the big one every time. Go back to camp and start cooking. I can't believe there are fish eggs in the stomach. Cut off the head of the fish and roast it next to the pot. Sure, the taste will be better than boiled on the female side. After 5 days of starting the camp, finally finish the frame. Then brush the waterproof tarpaulin. Because the roof is too flat, there may be water, and she's especially high in the middle with a shelf. At a speed like this, maybe it won't be finished until tomorrow. For lunch, cook some fish to fight hunger. Fortunately, I didn't eat it all a few days ago. If you're not done and you're hungry, I can't stand it. As night fell, Rick was also nibbling at the camp. Only by eating as much as possible can we survive. It takes longer on Friday. It's Rick's son's birthday. Think of your beloved child. Early morning cooking fish. I can't help but shed tears. But thinking about $500,000 trying to control your emotions. Then Rick takes his stuff to the lake. Take out the field boat. It took me 2.5 days to build. A few days ago I was always looking for a way to improve my raft. It's finally time to check the results. You sit on the raft and climb away. I'm going to use a raft to set up a grid. I can't believe the process is in constant trouble. I have to go back and fix the rack. But as soon as the grid is laid, one side of the raft was suddenly waterlogged. Not having time to react, he was thrown into the water. Even the neck-worn lifebuoy pops out immediately. Fortunately, the lake is not very deep. He quickly crept up the shore on the TR side. To sleep at night, not on the ground. She decided to make a single bed for camp. The bed frame uses wood as big as a thigh. Each piece carried to the middle of the tent, and then line up the little branches. And then comb the soft branches. Finally, just put the blanket on top. If you try it, the length and size will fit. Right now with Anders, I'm going to do a big job of putting the grid back together. I'm going to put pieces of wood together. This can extend the range of the grid. If you measure it with your feet, a wooden stick is up to 14 meters long. Fortunately, before the game, I brought a drill to make a buffet. This tool is very useful when building a house. And then you use a drill to make a small hole, and then connect the other 2 pieces of wood with a mortar structure, and then through a small hole in the middle. Finally, use a wooden stick to fix the 2 ends. It's about getting a joint that works. When you're done, you have more anchors on the wood. Then bring the finished rack out to the lake. Little by little fix the grid to the anchor point. When all the wood is in the water, the next step is just waiting. When I returned to camp, I was hungry, but the fish had been eaten to fill the stomach. Anders thought of the bark. The young bark inside the pine tree is rich in vitamin C. I cut it into pieces and brought it back to camp. First boiled in a pot, then put it back on the lid. To taste a piece. The taste is acceptable, it's just a little hard to chew. Come to Klaus. So far I have not eaten fish for 3 days. Go to a familiar place today to catch some needed fibers. With exquisite lure bait standing by the lake all morning. It's less than half an hour. Suddenly stuck in the rock slits. You can't pull it off even if you try. Finally forced to cut the fishing line. Not just lose a bait lure, but both the hook and the line were wasted. Until Saturday Anders. Check out the grid. Hurry to pull up in the lighter the pull. In the end nothing was harvested, and the bait gets wrapped up in the branches. There's no other way than to cut it off with a small knife. That makes the equipment that you're so tired of building 7. Complete defeat and a heavy shock that made Anders to lose faith. It's about you being able to hold on. How many more days is hard to say. Switch to Soren. Early morning, pour the tree and put it in the pot to cook a batch. Thick soap. A little more special flavor by going out and picking rosemary leaves. Crushed and put in the pot. In just half an hour the soap. Unusual consistency out oven. According to you, this can help remove all the dirt on people. Then he took off all his clothes and went to the river to bathe with the freezing cold water that awakened the spirit of Soren. Back to full body camp as elevated. On the other side, Bettina R2. An hour and a half of effort. I finally caught an old fish. Before it gets dark, after days of hunger, we can finally eat meat. But at the same time there was a boat. The boat came up on the lake. Turns out it's a paramedic, to come for periodic health checks for them, to ensure players can continue to play normally. Before they left, they were reminded that winter was coming. People have to be prepared to keep warm before the temperature drops. It arrived on the 8th day as expected. Last night the weather started to get extraordinarily cold, so Anders decided to shorten his shelter a little bit to retain heat more efficiently, and then you're covered in moss on the roof. That way you won't be afraid of cold air. At the same time, other players have also begun to upgrade their shelters. On the cloud side, I'm going to make myself a small bed. The first is to determine the location, and then cut down some wooden sticks and fasten them to the ground. Next is to put a bunch of sticks on top. Finally brushed blanket fur up is finished. On the Soren side, he also brought a drill as a tool. Drilling a hole from the roof, and then cut some sticks that we used as nails to put them in. This can ensure a strong house structure. Of course, the top layer has to be covered in moss to make the roof. Watch out, this job takes at least 4 to 5 days. Meanwhile on the other side, Tiga also began to build her tent. But you don't take into account the wind direction. As soon as I sat in the camp, the thick smoke came quickly. They seem to want to live comfortably. It still needs to be improved. It's the 9th day. The weather is getting colder. Rick is forced to quickly complete the shelter. Permanently now his progress is the slowest. He brushed the blank cloth on the frame, tied a sticks at the main door to fix the roof. Be careful, climb up. You use a waterproof cloth like a hat. Cover the top. It doesn't stop the smoke from escaping and it stops the snow. The rest under the tent is cut off. To avoid the fabric edge from being abrasive, you use fire. Then move all the furniture to a new place on the Soren side. I got up early and washed my face and cleaned my place. At first I wanted to build a house somewhere else, but after a few days, I realized there wasn't enough energy to give up and expand the temporary shelter. Look at the walls. It is no different than the villa. Hungry all morning. Soren going to the fishing lake. So far I've eaten a piece of fish. If you work hard without enough protein, you can stand it. There was no bow to hunt. I can only wait for the rod. Just finished the sentence, the hook fluttered. I didn't expect the fish to bite so fast. He immediately pulled the fish to the shore. Maybe because I'm hungry. You don't keep fishing, you go back to the fish farm. First you put the caviar in the frying pan. To taste a piece. It's unspeakable. It's more flexible and chewy than beef. In less than 2 minutes no color left. And Ani's probably the few people who have stockpiled food. In the morning, just eat the fish tail. In extreme circumstances, 3 meals must be rationally divided. After eating, I plan to add a warm layer to the tent. Because the tent is too high, there are no ladders. You have to throw up every piece of moss to lie down for a while, but the cold made it impossible for her to sleep. It was then that she realized the importance of the fireplace. So she took her backpack to the river to pick up stones, make a circle of stones to light a fire. To avoid the haze, she even made a hole in the roof as a skylight. When the night falls, it's finally getting a little warmer inside. On the 10th day, Klaus went fishing again. But the colder it gets, the less fish there are. You're all white these days. Try changing the bait several times, but still no one bit the hook. There's no other way. I went back to my teeth last time. I just looked at the net and drooled. But removing it is both losing strength and unlikely to succeed. Klaus pulled out the knife and cut it off. I can't help but praise you for being decisive. The rest of the net he teeth along the shore of the lake. They're going around the neighborhood to lure the fish in. I just hope that tomorrow a miracle happens. Meanwhile the side, Maddie is one of the few archers left on the field. Today you're taking Theo to the mountain hunting complex. First she uses a whistle to imitate the sound of a small bird, then carefully look around. But I just went a little bit. Maddie suddenly felt dizzy. The eyes are buzzing like the wind is blowing. He was so hungry that he started hallucinating. Afraid of exhaustion and fainting in the wilderness. I decided to go back to running for sure. As she walked across the lake, she found some reeds. This one contains a lot of boron hydrates. Don't worry, put it in the pot immediately. As long as there is food, it should not be wasted. Boil on fire for 3 hours. Finally cooked. But it's dark now. I just drink some water to warm my stomach. Save the rest for the next morning. To the 11th day, Maddie took the mushroom that grew on Riz birch tree. I've heard that this is very fragrant for making coffee. Ground into powder and poured into super boiled water. When pouring out, the color is quite standard. Take a few sips to warm up. She took the bow out hunting. Unfortunately there is nothing around. I can't wait to find any animals. But this trip was not in vain. Because I found a bunch of berries growing all over the ground. She swept it clean. On the female side, living in a wilderness like this, it's hard not to remember family. So she carved the silhouette of her loved ones on the wood. However, in the process of survival, this doesn't help. After cleaning up the fish pond, I can't believe this area has abundant resources. We caught a big fish in less than 3 minutes. While collecting fish, I found a small bird watching to pick up his piece of fish meat. I can't believe you're not angry. On the contrary, there is a desire to feed them. If you have extra food, you should reserve it and feed the birds. Turn to Rick as a top hunter. I'm always looking for protein around me. Unfortunately, the resources in this area are scarce. Not even the little squirrel in the forest. Bring your things. I walked around for half a day and found nothing. I had to pick some wild fruit and go back to camp. I was going to rest for a while, but the shelter's leaking all over. The cold can't stand. I have to go out and cut wood. While cutting down trees in nature, be very careful, because if you get hit by a tree, no one comes to save you. Screw carefully to the point of panic. It took half an hour to cut. Then he went to the lake to check the fishing net. Fortunately, they are not white. Caught a fish weighing more than 2.5 kilogram. On the way home, my shoes were cut. Rick guessed the bottom of the sole must have been torn. There's no time to fix it now. Go back to the fish farm. Klaus was praying at the camp at the same time. I hope I catch the fish because today is a grid inspection day. Gently scrape the net. I can't believe that after the last 3 days there will be fish. I was so hungry that I immediately went back to the cooking camp. The best ingredients are just baked on the fire. Wait until the surface burns. You can rest assured to enjoy. To the 12th day, the opulent house of Soren has basically formed. Outside the comfortable warm rest area, there's a fire burning next to it. There is also a convenient ventilation window above. Even the gap in the wall is sealed. There's no space left. However, according to the current progress, it is still far from being completed. His idea was to build a shelter, the most luxurious area, and then he found some more sticks, covered with waterproof tarpaulin, to avoid leakage, and especially a little moss on top of it. Breakfast is wild mushrooms picked around the area. I hear it tastes a lot like mushroom oil. Used to cook quite delicious soup. It's a little bit of energy. He started walking around collecting branches. What used to be simple is now difficult. Towel. The plan is to extend the entire Riz shelter to the ledge. I also know that the workload is not small. Maddie sighed. Wake up in the morning and cook an easy 2-clean pot. That's breakfast and lunch today. Then continue to carry the fishing pole. Because hunting is completely hopeless. Maybe fishing is white. But it wasn't less than half an hour before a small fish bit. I don't know why foreigners think that. I only caught one and came back immediately. This is the first fish Maddie has been since the start of the game. Soft fish meat dissolved in the mouth. It makes the whole body feel completely healed. You don't have to eat grass to survive. In less than 10 minutes, she ate the fish. At the same time, Rick's having a headache with food. The past few days have been focused on hunting. The fish caught very little. In times of urgency, he thought about eating bark. Start shaving little by little with a small knife. The thinner the bark, the better you eat. Cook for more than 2.5 hours. To the afternoon, he also had a meal that he called delicious. However, the bark is not as delicious as imagined. Taste hard and very difficult to chew. But in this situation, there's a belly lining. It's already good. I was walking along the beach after eating. Suddenly I saw the buoy on the fishing pole moving. I immediately grabbed. As expected, of course. It looks like a small fish about 125 grams. I'm so excited I can't help it. See, eating the bark was a waste. Back at camp, you cut off the tail and roast it. The rest is for tomorrow on Klaus' side. When you see the water in the pot is frozen, I realized that winter was approaching. Not building a fireplace. You can only rely on the fire to keep you warm. I have to put out the fire every night before I go to bed. The night is based on the strength of the body. Fortunately, apart from that, what's important is that you still have food in reserve. No need to leave the house today. You can also eat to your heart's content. Another also started to eat the bark as Soren do. Exercise at high intensity every day. Make your body waste away. A lot, so he sliced the bark into thin slices. Cook like noodles and hang on the line to dry in your free time. Eating out like junk food. Building a house in the forest. It can't be stopped, even for a minute. Use a drill bit to drill a bolted hole and then stick it up. This is not only convenient when fixed, it's more certain. Robot. On the female side. Today is a special day for you. She went out and used the bark as a white flag. Plug it into the ground. According to you, my goal in this place has been accomplished. There's no need to stay. Soon after, a yacht rushed in. You didn't need many words. It's because there's too little fish. It's completely beyond your imagination. What I want most is to go home and eat chicken, fried and hamburger. Looks like you got here a little late. Then you pack your bags and long leaves. When winter is coming, big snow is coming. How will the contestants cope? When the other contestants, still gnawing at the bark to hold on, someone caught a fish weighing 3 kilos. Not only easy to ensure protein intake, but also started building wine-proof villas against the rain in the forest before the coming winter. The main adequate food reserves. It is the key to winning. It's day 14. Rick's out hunting with his bow. The morning temperature is near freezing. To catch little birds around there, I go out almost every morning to try my luck. I'm going to use whistles to attract them. But blowing for half an hour still doesn't see the AI. It's so cold I can't stand it. Unable to return to camp to warm up. With Matthew. I woke up in the morning and my tea was filled with ice. The rope in the camp was frozen as hard as steel. I can see how cold it has been in the last few days. Because it's so cold, you don't go out and build a fireplace. If you wait until winter, you can't. Maddie's idea was to build a chimney outside the tent to be able to light a fire. Heating inside without the smell of smoke. We have to build a wall in the middle. It's not a small thing you have to do all day. The next job, it may take a few days to complete. On the side of Soren, he's constantly building wild mansions, forgetting to take protein. High-intensity work that keeps the body at the limit. I'm exhausted and I don't know if I can break the rules. When you finish building the house, leave. Not to feel sad about home. In your free time, you make crafts. With 3 days of hunger and 9 full meals, maybe the day the house is finished is the day you give up. It's incomparable. Rick's shelter is probably the simplest. So far there's only one waterproof cloth. For the coming cold winter, I've got to refortify. Start making tent frames with wooden sticks and then cover it with a waterproof cloth. Fear of snow and unbearable shoes. I made another bracket on the roof. After doing that, I was hungry and went to the fishing pond. This area is a good resource. Not long after, I caught a small fish back at camp. He quickly chopped wood to light a fire and grilled the fish to eat. Half an hour later, I enjoyed a delicious meal. Eat like a party. Eat forever without getting bored. On the 15th day, Klaus woke up hungry. The water in front of you is where you fish. On the 6th day, because of negligence, the bait got stuck in the rock crevice. Good bait is limited, 1 losses to reduce the chance. You take off all your clothes, naked in the freezing cold water. Very bravery. This is definitely the last man standing. I was lucky to get the bait back. Go back to the fishing pole and continue fishing. I'm sorry I didn't get it all. Helplessly you went to the shore to collect 10 bark, not to eat but to store wood for the winter. I also collect a lot of wood for the winter. Snowfalling shoes, not out. Hungry for 2.5 hours. I finally got a big bag of wood and a small bag of wood. You can safely stay in the camp. Today's dinner is simply a few blueberries. I don't want to be hungry. I just don't want to be hungry. Stay with Annie. She's probably the developer, most stable on the battlefield. I try to go fishing every day. Although in many cases she's usually hands-free, but that doesn't affect your mood. However, it soon began to snow. It makes the calm person start to worrying. Back to collect 10 sticks of wood to reinforce the shelter. It's going to cover all the tent walls. But with a weak girl, this is definitely work. It takes a lot of time and energy. You don't eat or drink all day. We finally completed the mission before dark. And as she walked around, she found a skull. This thing is a good thing. Very suitable for making wall paint for camp to the side of the Soren. He hadn't eaten for 2 days, but we're still building shelters. I want to finish the house before winter. However, his body was very weak. I just had to sit down for a while. Back to camp. I even put a few nails so I can hang things up. Convenient to use. Until the 16th day, Matthew early in the morning cut a bunch of reeds. You've been relying on that for a living these days. Go out and check that the warehouse is still empty. Take a break and don't give up. Go back to the fishing pond. It was a week ago that I ate fish for the last time. So you're hungry for protein. Surprise. A moment later, there was a sign that she was hurrying up. The heavier it gets, the faster it gets on the stick by the shore. When you're going to use a fishing stick. I almost got in my hand and suddenly let go. Unfortunately, Soren is busy fixing fishing nets. You can't just build a house without food. Take your things to the lake, pushing the net underwater with a stick. According to the rules, I will wait until tomorrow to check. And while everyone's worried about the fish, Rick is lucky to have one. I saw that the fish meat was delicious. Until the 17th day, the most professional hunter, Rick woke up before dawn. I want to go hunting small animals. It's the basic operation of a professional hunter. To a hill Rick began to hide. Quickly a shadow passed by. The shape is definitely a fox. But I didn't have time to shoot the arrow. The fox has run away. Even if you whistle to call. I can't find it again walking around. It's a shame. If you catch it, at least I can live another half a month. No problem, I have to go back to the heating camp. You can't catch animals on the mountain. We have to switch to fishing. However, due to a few days ago negligence, the pessimistic boat is punctured. You have to use the glue to fix it. This is part of the equipment along with the bow. It doesn't take much effort. You fix it and carefully take the boat out to the lake. Gently slide the net raw. Takes half an hour to put the net finished. I went for a walk and picked up a big mushroom. When I was about to cook, suddenly the boat runs across the lake. I thought it was a routine check. Who expected them to announce the weather would get colder? For the safety of the contestants, should ban organization give each person another fishing net. This action in the middle of sending more equipment. It's quite a surprise to everyone. I really don't understand. But this is good news for Klaus. Because he broke the net last time. And others are happy that there's a new net. You can drop it somewhere else. Increased chances of catching fish. And Maddie was busy making the fire. Use stones and earth to make a fire pit. A big fire after 2.5 days of work. Don't worry about being cold in the camp anymore. The luckiest one is Ollie. 2 nets have been placed to catch large fish and small fish. She cut 2 large pieces of cooked meat and tasted it. Many times higher in protein than beef. When night falls, the contestants all go to camp. Day 18, the playground is covered in snow. The cold weather makes the fish harder to find. Soren is back at the fishing lake. A boat arrived half an hour later. Maybe an unbearable contestant has left the game. The scene turned to Soren lying weak in the camp. The doctor came to check. I haven't had any protein in 10 days. Tired of building shelters. I almost called for help to be safe. But the doctor decided. Soren was forced to withdraw because of the risk of organ failure. Soren's efforts have long been interrupted. Newly built abandoned houses that could not be enjoyed were forced to stop. Everyone is also upset. There's no way. Soren has to tidy up. If it wasn't just for building a house, you'd have lasted longer. There are currently only 4 candidates. If you slow down, you finally have fish. A small one is not equal to the normal harvest. Simple prep, eat raw, delicious sticky taste. With increasingly difficult conditions, survival life is really cruel. Hungry people will be hungry in the coming winter. Strong people can still be free. Eat delicious grilled fish, turning the competition into a paid vacation. The last person standing will receive $500,000. On the 19th, a snowstorm filled the playground. Klaus knew the small tent couldn't stand it, so the wind tried to get out the wall. Tie it up with ropes and branches. Be safe and enter the tent. It's terribly cold. Today we are resting in Messy Camp. It's also adding donations to the shelter, but there is a display stand so it is not used. She directly uses the snow to go back to the fireplace. I have to say, this operation is awesome. I went back to the camp and took a thermometer and measured 39 degrees. High fever definitely has cold symptoms. The most important thing is to be quick. Group fire heating. Because we didn't have enough dragon fire, so now it's hard to start a fire. Reluctant, she takes out cotton toilet. Let's make a program for. Thanks to the soft material, quickly has a small fire. Continuous blowing in. Quickly lit the fireplace. I sat down not long ago. There's no cover above the heater. Outdoor snowfall shoes quickly extinguish the fire. In this situation, you don't have time to fix it. Just sitting in the cold in the camp. Annie is also on vacation at the camp. To kill time, she started using fishing lines and rips. To be honest, Annie calculated very carefully. Has been very good so far. I have never missed home so far. You built the wall a few days ago. If not, you'll probably be half dead by now. While everyone's at camp, Rick calmly goes outside. Because he had to check the fish trap for a harvest. Be careful to check the lake. The trap is cleaner. My face hugging hope to check the bait. I saw the float sink from a distance. If you pull it up, it's just a bubble. That's 7 hopes. When he returned to the camp, he found many footprints on the ground. Guess the size, it must be a sign. But God forbid, hunting is impossible. There's only one good way to get back to camp and reinforce the tent. After that, everyone was resting in the camp. On the 20th day it was finally sunny. Claus untied the rope in the shelter. When I returned to the camp wearing pants, I found that I was very thin. I don't want to be disqualified because I'm too light. We have to find a way to get protein. Take out the precious hook. Bring the fishing rod to the lake to try your luck, not using the grid generated by the program because I find it easier. Just throw it over 10 times on the shore. In the end, God doesn't care. After 2.5 hours, a mackerel came ashore. Even if the fish is not big, but if it's done well, it could be worth a few $1,000s. As everyone knows, foreigners usually go after fishing. No more questions. I went back to the barbecue on the coal fire, watching the fish grilled outside crispy and soft. Protein 50 times higher than beef. At the same time Rick was going to go fishing. Compared to the experiments, the only advantage is the boat, but this allows your net to drop deeper. In the hope of pulling the net up and down. I see something above. The first is to catch a small fish. I can't believe there's a bigger one. Finally harvested 5 protein-packed fish. Oh my god, luck really doesn't compare to AI. Make the other contestants look at what they're going to think. Plus some small fish we caught earlier. There are 9 protein fish. Is the contestant with the most food reserves. If you keep this speed, you can win. Back to camp, enjoy the delicious food. The fish don't have to say. It's definitely the food that the other contestants dream of. Back to Maddie waking up. The symptoms are better. Quick group heating furnace. Take a break, then her hunger spurred her to go fishing. It's not that this land is a rare resource. The complex equipment she was carrying Theo worked, but today he's not back. Time flies to the 21st day. The temperature dropped a few degrees. Even the lake in front of the door is frozen. Rick crouched in the cold tent. This temporary shelter, you may be very good at it now. To reduce the symptom, Rick's going to do a makeshift shelter in the camp. The way to do that is to dig a big hole in the ground, then dig a small slot outside the tent to draw air, and then cover the wood up. So when you start a fire, the whole tent gets warmer. I hurried to start testing my work. And lunch is simply a grilled fish. To Maddie's side. Because the stove in the camp was very 7 failures, so she wants to make a fire in it. Go around, pick up a big pile of rocks to wrap around the head of the bed, used to place lanterns to avoid smoke. You open a door. Thereby a blazing fire broke out. It also makes you feel an unprecedented warmth. Come out and see the smoke escape effect is quite good. You can finally rest in the camp. But if you say shelter, the most comfortable house is still Ani's firewood house. Whether it's wind resistance or warmth, it's great. When the night falls, someone's sitting in a barbecue. People are hungry in the camp. Fast forward to the 22nd day, when the other contestants aren't up yet. Klaus took the fishing rod early on. As they say, early birds are eaten by worms. He soon caught a big fish. For lack of food, I didn't stop this time. Let's drop to more sentences and get one. In half an hour, there were 2 protein-rich fish. Makes Klaus very excited. Bring the fish back to camp. Kiani just woke up and started cleaning up. It's strange that the entrance has a puddle of iced tea, within 100 miles of you alone. It's clear that some small animal left. But your strength is not enough to hunt. It's so cold. She's still at the crafting camp. The most comfortable contestant is Rick. I slept until 12. Go to the fish shelter, take a small one and get into the tent. Enjoy. Meanwhile, Maddie's situation is always untenable. No protein for a week. The body is suffering. Look at the beauty in your hands. Her tears didn't stop falling. Suddenly a boat appeared on the lake. I don't know who can afford to give up. Messy moving pictures have been waiting for a long time at the shore. She said the shelter hasn't had lanterns in days. It gives you a cold reason to give up. It's not finding food and complex tools. Carry almost rust. Lightning in camp. This generation's resources are not much. Finally packed up regretfully leaving the competition. There are only 3 left now. Time to the 23rd day. Answer, start collecting 10 wood in a row to prepare for the winter. At the same time, the 2 Kia contestants also started to store firewood. It's worth noting that they also have emergency rations. Annie can't stand to cook an 8 to 5 cup of food, but this doesn't last very long either. If you want to survive, you have to find protein. Over there Klaus started fishing again. Not expecting to be full. Just don't waste your time. And Rick doesn't have to worry about food. I made a single bed for myself. Or sleep on the ground. It's not okay in this cold weather. Fast forward to the 24th day. The light of day makes Annie happy. You've been thinking about new survival tactics for the past few days. The weather is so cold, you can't die in the water. So you're going to build a small boat by wrapping it up with waterproof tarpaulins and tree branches. And make oars out of tree branches. Ready. Annie nervously caught hands doing. Unexpected, very suitable. You dare not neglect to start combing the little net raw. Kia Rick also drove the boat began to act. But it's a shame that we're using the extra grid today. There's no harvest. This made him start to worrying. If there's no food in the house, it's good. I really don't know. Now there's a yacht coming. Turns out it's Klaus' call for help. He said he'd had kidney stones before. The pain around my stomach has been burning for days. To be safe, have a doctor check it out. Through discussion, the doctors that in this case no surgery is required. Better to try to fight to the end. There are currently 3 big players on the field. Who will be the last champion? To the 25th day, a squirrel suddenly appeared in front of Rick. The animal has a pretty good fat body, but because the distance is too far, before he could shoot the bow, it was gone. As Rick sat watching, he spotted a wild chicken stand still without moving. Unfortunately, you can't shoot in this situation because just moving will make the bird fly away. We have to go back to camp. After all this waiting, Rick's hands were frozen. Hurried to light a heating fire. Suddenly there was a noise outside the camp. There's a herd of wild animals. They're easily hunted in their eyes, but the rules of the game don't allow that. As the reindeer were moving away, Rick could only swallow. Klaus gets up and sits in front of the door warming up, ready to go fishing. The reason I didn't use the extra grid was because I found the grid very troublesome. I'd rather spend all my time fishing than in cold water. This makes the probability of catching fish very low. Standing on the shore from morning to evening without seeing the fish bite, I can't seem to get rid of my hunger today. Today is the second grid inspection day. She eagerly boarded the boat out into the middle of the lake. The net is pulled up to the shore, gently harvested to small fish. This method seems to work. As Andy sits on the shore, a yacht is quickly approaching. It turns out that the crew resupplied the equipment in the middle. The weather is expected to get colder. The lake will freeze completely. To prevent the other contestant from catching fish, they're going to drill for ice, life-saving equipment if falling into water, and a fake bait to attract real fish. I don't understand why I don't order food directly fast as night falls. Annie put the sliced fish in the snow for preservation, but this way the fish will be lost tomorrow. At the same time, Rick was going to deal with the fish. Protein is not difficult. Until the 27th day, Klaus plans to go fishing on the frozen lake. Before you go, prepare all the equipment. The large lake is easily in danger. I decided to try the small lake. Look out at the frozen lake. But out in the wild, dare not risk down the check. Klaus wears a life jacket, even strapping people to make sure they're safe. First drill a hole in the shore. Ensure the thickness of the layer. Enough ice to support your weight. Bring your tills to the middle of the lake. Then start lying on the shore. Fishing has no specific purpose. Meanwhile, Rick's got his gear ready. Bring the icebreaker drill into the lake. Different from Klaus. He walked straight out into the middle of the lake without worrying about falling into the water. Quickly drill a small hole in the ice. Avoid sitting for a long time causing hypothermia. You light a fire next to it and sit in front of it. Let's start fishing. But I don't know if it's because there's a lot of fish here. Bad luck, they both sat on the ice for half a day. As a result, Rick missed the bait. They both came back empty-handed. The sober one is Annie. Although the program provides ice fishing gear, but she thinks it's too hard to fish on the ice. I'd rather stay at the net clearing camp. To the 28th day. Health check notification program again. I can't believe 3 people don't have a problem. Only Klaus has itchy toes. The doctor diagnosed only a fungal infection. Not being cold. Your dry feet will go away. Klaus went fishing again after work. To increase the likelihood of success, you take the net out and you put it around. The 2 of them are now in the middle of the lake with tips available. They can easily put nets in deep water and just wait. On the 29th, Vic began collecting the second net. I have just opened up, and I have seen in my heart a deep remembrance. I wish my wife was there. Relax the mood and climb back into the boat to check the net. What a coincidence. The first net yielded a 7-pound flounder. There are also some small fish that are very lucky. Perfect grid placement. When we pulled them all ashore, we caught a total of 7 to 8 fish. Help Rick be the only one in the competition. It's called the Fish King. Return to camp in a state of unspeakable joy. I don't have to worry about food for half a month, and Ani because the net has no fish to bring things to the lake. Fear of walking on the ice and falling. Try the stone first. Then carefully drill a small hole in the middle of the lake. But for half an hour there's no fish to bite. It seems to be in vain. While the contestants are worried about the fish, Klaus is going up the mountain. Remember father, bring your photo and give your bones. Wear clothes to the mountains. Find a place to stop the fire. Pray and sprinkle the bones in the sky. You said it would keep your soul safe. To focus the competition. After the prayer, Klaus felt like he'd been promoted. I still have to be hungry today, but it's all worth it. By the 30th of Klaus's plan is to build a wooden raft to go deeper into the deep water. Fishing this is indispensable. He used simple wood to frame. Don't want to spend too much effort, should put BLOTs on as a float. And drop the raft into the water for testing. Everyone who went to primary school knows. It would be strange if this thing could stand up. I just sat down not long. The raft has begun to slowly sink. No matter how hard he tries, it's useless. After more than 10 tests, 7 failed. If the bottom is full of wood, that's not going to happen. Rick doesn't know if it's God or not. Check the side grid today. To harvest a large pile of meat fish, full of pressure back to shore, plus the fish we caught a few days ago. Now Rick's completely free of fish. According to the amount of resources, it is definitely the championship will belong to him. On the other side, Ani was going to get the fish in reserve yesterday, but digging in the snow for half a day and still no fish. Needless to say, I know, must have been taken by the small animals around. It's so black. I told you there's no hiding food here. There is only one way to accept hunger. Time to the 32nd day. Because the big lake in front of the door hasn't frozen yet, the contestants only have to store wood through the winter. Just enough wood. When it snows, stay in the camp. With Klaus, there's finally been a change. Hungry for a week is finally getting better. Check the subnet and get a big carp. He was so hungry that he went to the fish farm. Fresh and fragrant grilled fish, rush to replenish energy. This fish is not very good, but certainly more protein than beef. Rick's cooking fish in the camp right now. For him, dinner can be eaten comfortably. Not afraid to eat all the food. By the 34th day, the contestant's condition began to decline. The empty heart begins to miss the family around. Klaus took out the head of the fish that had not been eaten for a long time to cook. You can't sit by while you wait. Go fishing. Maybe you can catch a big fish. Annie's here to check the grid. The good news is that there's a fish bite, 2 at a time. But you're not happy. But start thinking about what it means to stay here. Will Annie be the next contestant? $500,000 will go to AI. Wait until the 36th day. The surrounding environment has been covered in white snow. The lake in front of me was frozen. That's not good news for Rick. Because he had to take a small boat into the water to check it out, sewing mesh that the ice is not thick. You can still climb a boat on it. Fortunately, he also caught an old fish. But not the outcome he wanted. At the inspection camp, there are still about 7 to 8 fish. He's tired of eating all this. Rick just wants to change the position of the other prey. Long time no use of bow and arrow is a little lost skill, so he's training specifically at the camp gates. Any small animal you meet outside is a direct hit. In the early morning, Cloud quickly pack up. Decided to go up the hill behind for a walk. He said he's going crazy in the tent too long. Go outside to breathe fresh air sometimes. Also quite useful, but on the way back my heel hurt. I don't know if it's frostbite or cold damage. Go to the camp and call for help. I made for calls this time. The doctor also quickly brought the equipment. Minor examination of the wound. They've determined that it's caused by ambient temperature. In this situation, you just need to rest for a few days. After the general discussion of the doctors, they suggested that Klaus try to endure for a few more days. I know I can't leave for that reason. On his face seems to be quite hopeful. And start collecting 10 materials around the area. While Ani is drawing water by the lake, I thought she was going back to the boilers to cook. The AI only took the fish's head and intestines and left them on the shore. To melt raw. Feed the little birds around. To say that, do you have time to cook a fish head soup? You don't eat anything in the morning, and you're sawing wood around the area. I felt dizzy and tired for a few minutes. Weak hands and feet. If you can't catch a fish, you might as well give up. By day 37, the temperature had dropped to -10 degrees. I'm still waiting for the lake to freeze so I can go fishing. But the current thickness is not enough. On day 38, Rick's lake was completely frozen. The field boat could no longer be used. I took off the waterproof tarpaulin on it. While busy, the homesickness rose again. Rick shed tears. To lift the spirit, to the camp he used the waterproof cloth he had just removed. Quick build outdoor kitchen, sitting in it, heating the fire. It feels completely different than being in a tent. Glass neglected for a few days. It is now ready to operate again. The fisherman was hungry for days. You've got to find a way to stretch the net. Start pulling the strings little by little around the lake. The frozen ice is not very likely to slip. Cautiously he walked across the lake for 2.5 hours. Finally stretched the side grid. Wait a few days to see if there are any fish at the same time. Ani to make sure the ice thickness enough bearing. I tried to beat it 10 times. Under this situation can be assured 800%. But she decided to wait a few more days. You play with stones. Until the 39th day, Rick's practicing archery at the door. They detect traces of prey. According to the footprints, the foxes. But around the messy footprints, hard to guess the direction. Actually, 2 days ago Rick used fish soup to lure foxes, but so far I haven't seen a single feather. To increase the likelihood of success, in the evening, I poured fish soup on the tree. I want to attract that fox. 41st day Klaus raw extra grid inspection. I saw ugly ducks in the net. They're wrapped in webs and they can't move. Klaus was excited and rushed into the water, afraid they escape. I caught you biting right in. Hear the sound of broken bones. 2 fat ducks immediately died. I have to say, the luck's really great. Not expected. Even in this difficult time, you can still eat a meal. Party like that, not say much. He's sitting directly at the door handling duck meat. When the duck hair is plucked, the head and the wings are gone, and then go to the shore and clean out the organs, leaving only 2 pieces of fatty duck breast. High-grade raw materials. They usually have the simplest way of cooking. Grill over high heat for 10 minutes, crispy yellow roasted duck outside, soft inside, just out oven. Hungry for a few days, finally eating meat. Oh my god, parents, this taste and the feeling of eating can't be denied. Meat is not dry or hard. It is at least 100 times more protein-rich than beef. In less than 2.5 minutes, he ate the meat, and the duck frame is thrown into the fire. Use it with a little spice, and duck porridge smells good. To the side, Ani, you've eaten your last perch today. If you can't find food in a few days, we will consider the end of the contest. She carefully carried her things out to the surface of the lake, gouging a small hole. Let's start fishing. Although the bait is very eye-catching, but the fish around here won't bite from morning to afternoon, until the ground where she lies starts to get wet. You just realize the situation is serious. Pack your things back to the shore. Looking around, the lake had turned dark brown, which means that soon the ice will break up. Maybe you're still hungry today. The next day, program delegation came for a health check. All 3 contestants lost about 10 pounds. But it doesn't affect health. To the 43rd day, Ani lay in the lake all day and couldn't catch anything with her. The game is about to end. Please call back to the camp. The company's off-road driving program. The snow came to her very quickly. Even though Ani performed well from the beginning, the winter fish were too few. You have to give up. No resentment. She's the only female contestant left. Persistence has been very good so far. When Ani withdrew, there were only 2 contestants on the playground. Until day 45, Rick checks the net under the ice. I don't know if I can catch fish, but soon the fish are hauled back to shore. A total of BA children, and Klaus was unlucky. Fishing test without fish bite. Fortunately, a few days ago, I still had a duck medal and a duck heart. 2 skewers is simply enough to be called a meal. Day 47, Rick in camp suddenly sees good. I saw a little squirrel on a tree in the distance. After many days to see the living creature, dare not ignore. Prepare the bow and arrow, take a shot and hit him. Successfully destroyed. I'm so glad that my bow and arrow technique is great. Look at the meat on the squirrel. I don't eat fish every day. Go back to camp and start peeling and cooking and hanging on the grill. Night to enjoy delicious food. Grilled squirrels taste almost no different than rat meat. But in this context, it's a rare delicacy. Day 48, Klaus went back to the fishing test, and the results were the same. I'm too hungry to bear it. Up the mountain, nibbling on a crispy, sweet ice cream stick. Both of you are out all day. No one wants to give up until the 49th. Program delegation. Surprise for who'll drive to the test site. Both were surprised to think it was a routine health check, but the program has some shocking news. The weather is going to get worse. The surrounding road will also be blocked. If anything happens, the rescue team won't be there in time. After the program discussion, I decided to give the title to both. I'm glad you didn't have to continue to suffer. Here the prize money will be divided by 2 people according to the evaluation. But with the situation now, this seems a little unfair to Rick, because your reserves are still enough for 10 more days. While we were talking, the 2 families came. Seeing them, every effort seemed worth it. Then, 2 people take their family to the wild. For the first time in history, 2 champions at the same time. What do people think about this result? Let's discuss it in the comments.